With New Year's coming up, one man should come to mind, and I'll give you a hint. He lives in a shack and he poops in an outhouse.
I live in a shack. I poop in an outhouse. I eat what I kill. Let the grid go down, Lord. I don't need it.
There isn't a Mrs. Chappy, is there, Chappy?
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, let's do this. Chappy, real name unknown, but he was voiced by Toby Huss, so yeah, y'all know what's coming.
Chief, the strongest man in the world!
Hey, I'm never gonna not use that. Chappy is a self-termed survivalist that runs the Christmas tree farm that Hank frequented enough for the two to be on a first-name basis.
Boy, I tell you what, Chappy, you've got some good-looking trees this year.
Is that a dig? 'Cause it ain't funny, Hank.
Which is kind of weird because it contradicts the father, the son, and JC and his tradition of shooting a Christmas tree with cotton.
Come on, Hank. Let's go shoot us a Christmas tree.
Well, Dad, you know how much I love to yell, ready, aim, timber.
But, whatever. Chappy unfortunately only appears in one episode, Hillenium, which is about the doomsday worries around Y2K. No, that's Y2J. There you go, Y2K. For those unaware, at the turn of the millennium, there were worries that software that was set up using only 2 digits for the year rather than 4, so it would be 89 instead of 1989, for example, would roll back to 1900 instead of 2000, and it might cause some issues. How bad it could have been is debatable, and a lot of work was put into updating the software. In fact, that was the job of Peter from Mike Judge's Office Space. But at the time, some people thought that the world was going to end, the grid would go down, planes fall out of the sky, worst parts of the Bible, all that good stuff. Anywho, Chappy blames this for a lack of Christmas tree sales.
I wasn't trying to be funny.
Oh, sorry, Hank, but people ain't buying trees this year. They're buying batteries and bottled water. It's the millennium, Hank.
And I do like Hank's rebuttal to the whole Y2K thing.
That's crazy. Everyone's known about the millennium for almost a year now.
But Chappy's not worried, so not worried that he offers Hank some cornbread.
Well, I'm not panicking. You want to know why? Because Chappy takes care of Chappy. Want a piece of cornbread? Make it myself with no electric tools.
And apparently it's pretty good because Hank enjoys it, most likely because of the lard.
Must be the elbow grease makes it taste so good, huh?
That or the lard. Render it myself.
You're like a pioneer, Chappy.
Yeah, lard typically does make things taste better, I'm not gonna lie. Hank is already on edge about Y2K, and Dale ends up flipping out when his survival plan is thwarted by a gerbil named Puff Puff.
My do! Yeah! How could you do this to me, Puff Puff?
Dale runs to Hank, freaking out because his plans fell through and he has no backup.
I don't have time for your little problems. My gerbil screwed me.
What?
I'm ruined. All of the planning and the secret hoarding.
You've been hoarding?
Duh!
So Hank takes Dale to Chappy, who is apparently his guy when it comes to being a survivalist, and Chappy gives them a little spiel.
All right, you're gonna need your own wheat grinder. I'll teach you how to grow your own mung beans and old paper towels. I live in a shack, and I poop in an outhouse.
However, Dale, even though he would be utterly useless in most forms of survival situations, is far from impressed with Chappy.
That's it? This is your go-to guy? An outhouse and monkey beans? I couldn't take on the freaking bicentennial with an outhouse and monkey beans.
Hank and Dale talk about the possible dangers, and Chappy decides it's best to team up in order to make sure that all their bases are covered. Quite possibly because he's really not exactly that useful either.
Utilities will fail. Nuclear weapons will launch themselves.
Wait, hold on now, don't cut me out. We can work as a team, right?
Hank puts Dale and Chappy in charge of procuring food for the apocalypse, which they don't begin in the best way possible.
All right, I'll take care of tools and supplies. You guys are in charge of food. Try to stay focused.
Either Dale or Chappy, it honestly could have been an idea conjured up by either one of them, came up with the bright idea of stocking up for meat for the end of the world by adopting dogs from the local pound, which I guess technically isn't a terrible idea, but it's also a terrible idea. Dale tries to do the talking when they're at the pound.
Shush, let me handle this. My friend Chappy and I both have wives for whom we are looking for presents.
Christmas dogs to put under the tree.
And Chappy can't help himself from saying the quiet part out loud and raising suspicion because of course it would raise suspicion.
Now this one's old and kinda ropey. My wife would not enjoy it.
Chappy then tries to play it off and explain himself, which just makes the whole situation worse.
Maybe you two should step away from the cages.
Please, my wife is in a wheelchair. All she wants for Christmas is a big fat dog with lots of meat on his haunches.
And then Dale has to go and put the cherry on top, leading to the worker chasing them off with a snare pole.
I'll take all 9 of those little dogs on top. Wrap 'em up.
And like it or not, that's the last we actually see of Chappy. Nope, he didn't even show up at Lucky and Luann's wedding. He just appeared to sell Christmas trees and help people prepare for a possible coming apocalypse. So Chappy may or may not have been a true survivalist. If he could render his own lard, he could probably clean an animal carcass, which would come in handy if all hell broke loose. But he also panics way too easily, and let's not forget that he's terrible at finding food. My guess is that he's the same level of survivalist that Dale is as a soldier of fortune. Also, is he going to show them how to grow mung beans or monkey beans? Both are said, but they are two completely different things. Overall, let's just hope he found a big fat dog with lots of meat on its haunches for his non-existent wheelchair-bound wife.
Please, my wife is in a wheelchair. All she wants for Christmas is a big fat dog with lots of meat on his haunches.
I tell you what, man, them Y2K, man, them mainframes gonna come crashing down on that grid, man. That look like a damn apocalypse now, man. And I'm lying on the horror.